Now, when Ben Cowburn died in a psychiatric unit in Cornwall, his sisters set up a charity which aims to improve mental health care for young people.
Sophia and Amber are now being honoured at the Rotary Young Citizens Award for their work, and we'll speak to them in just a moment. First, Noel Phillips has this report.
Our brother was a party animal, life and soul of the party. He was a fashion student, he was very popular. He was just like the greatest person.
In 2010, Ben Cowburn was just 18 when he took his own life in an adult psychiatric unit in Cornwall.
Within a few hours of losing Ben, we were in disbelief. It shouldn't have happened. Ben shouldn't have been able to take his own life in a mental health hospital.
His sisters, Sophia and Amber, wanted to keep Ben's legacy alive, so they set up their own charity, the Invictus Trust, as a way to support other teenagers with mental health problems.
After Ben had passed away, really not very long after, my mum sat down with us, my sisters and my dad, and just said that she felt really strongly that we had to change the services. We really didn't want to be a family that became quite bitter, because we felt like Ben had been let down, and we needed to change what was available for teenagers in Cornwall and what support and services could be enhanced really and better provided.
Well, Sophia and Amber are here with us now. We've just been chatting while that report was going on, and I'm going to start by, let's talk about the incredible news that you can tell everybody. You've just been awarded, your campaign has been awarded a huge amount of money. Tell us about that.
The NHS have just decided to commission a unit in Cornwall, which we've been campaigning for now for nearly 6 years. And we found out that for under 18s in Cornwall, there were no beds at all. So if you needed adolescent mental health care, you had to travel out of the county. And we had young people being placed as far as Manchester from Cornwall, Kent, all across the country, and families travelling to visit them. And it was just horrendous. So we were campaigning that a unit would be built in Cornwall, and we got the news last week that it will go ahead.
Which is, of course, wonderful news. Now,
Yes.
Sophia, your campaigning started from the worst of all possible places, which was the loss of your brother. Take us a little bit back to those times. It was the immediate aftermath, and what you found was there was so little for people, and also you were thinking about what happened to him and how little there was for him at a moment in time when he most needed help.
Yes, so me and Ben turned 18 in July, and then we quickly realised something wasn't quite right, but not the usual signs, and this is why we really wanted to break the stigma around mental health for young people, because it was much more that Ben was a party animal. He was going out a lot, he was life and soul of the party, but it was just continual. There was no let up, and he started to get really low and then just go out at night, so to party with his friends. So we started to notice that something wasn't quite right, tried to talk to him about it, and he wanted help, he asked for help. He got sectioned in October, and by December the 20th he'd passed away in inpatient care. But because he was just 18, he'd only just turned into an adult, and he certainly wasn't, and he wouldn't mind us saying, he certainly wasn't a man, a grown-up, you know, he was quite a young 18-year-old.
So had he gone into adult?
He'd gone into adult care because that was all that was available. For Invictus, we're really, really campaigning for an innovative project for sort of 13 to 25-year-olds that breaches that gap, because you don't go to bed at 17 and turn into an adult overnight, do you? So it was just about 2 weeks after Ben passed away, before his funeral, that my mum just said, look, as a family, we can't let this happen again, because it's terrible, really. We didn't know anything about it. We didn't know anything about the mental health illnesses that he was suffering from. I'm his twin sister, and certainly amongst our friends, I had no idea what those words meant that were being sort of thrown at us and thrown at him. So we just sort of said, this has to change. So we set up Invictus in January 2011.
And the more questions you ask, I'm assuming, the more gaps you're seeing in what is available.
Yeah, we felt that there was a real lack of services in Cornwall, from acute services, which we saw we felt that the care kind of failed our brother, and then we found out after that if he had been under 18 that he wouldn't have even stayed in the county for treatment, so it was bad either way. But then also just awareness levels in Cornwall, where to go for help. Even just websites that you could access. Nobody was telling anybody this, and when we were going into schools and giving talks, young people were responding so much because it was the first time they'd heard somebody actually speak. And teachers, to be fair, you know, were really desperate to talk about it. They just didn't have the resources.
And it's interesting that you've chosen that window of ages, so 13 to 25, because it is really, we talk about it a lot on this programme, that the mental health struggles of people in that age group are, it's almost like at the moment that there's an explosion in them and nobody quite knows what to do.
Absolutely.
I think we are talking about it so much more, which is what we want. That's what we advocate for. We say, you know, get talking, refer yourself to your friends, to your teachers, to your family, whoever it might be, where, you know, the more people know about it, hopefully support can be sought for whoever needs it. And we just constantly tell everyone that we meet and go and speak to in schools that mental health, everyone has it, and it's a spectrum, and it doesn't matter where you are today, next week, in a year's time. If you need support, you've got to know where you can get it.
And can I just ask, has your campaigning helped as part of your grieving process? Because it's such a huge thing to happen to a family. Do you think this has helped in some way?
I think as a family, you know, as Sophia said, like our mum kind of decided it and then very much gave it to us in terms of making it an organisation that Ben would have identified with and been proud of. So we called it the Invictus Trust, which was named after one of his tattoos because he had some of the lines of the poem Invictus. We gave the logo the anchor because, again, that was one of his tattoos. And we just wanted it to be something that young people would actually want to identify with rather than it being a mental health charity, because particularly, I mean, it is changing, but there is a stigma around that. And we wanted young people to fundraise and talk about it and go to events and have fun and realise that this doesn't all have to be kind of sombre all the time. But as a family, I think, you know, it did really help us to have something to pour our energies into. And sometimes it's really challenging because you get a lot of stories coming forward, you get a lot of people getting in touch, and we support families who are travelling out of the county currently to visit their young people who are in units across the country, and it can be really tough, and particularly for our parents. You know, they're hearing stories and they know that, you know, that this is a struggle that really cuts quite deep. But I think, you know, for us it has been an amazing thing. Like, you know, it's such a big part of our lives now.
Well, look, really appreciate you coming and talk to us.
You.
Congratulations on your award. You're going straight off
We
to
are,
a bit of a do. Well, very well done.
Deserved.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you both. And you can watch the Rotary Young Citizen Awards on the BBC News channel, and that's from 10:30 this morning.
We heard some really wonderful stories, actually.
Yeah,
this morning, haven't we?
humbling stories.
Really have. 18